First draft was someone else's. This one is mine.
Toward the original, not dramatically, no ceremony, no speech about liberation. Just found it one Tuesday in the drawer, where important things go to wait for the right Tuesday to become irrelevant. Looked at it for a while, the careful handwriting of a younger man, certain about things he hadn't earned certainty about yet. Folded it, set it down, picked up something clean. The new one has more space in it, less specific about the timelines, less committed to the particular shape of success I designed at 23 in a coffee shop, trying to impress a version of my future self who turned out to need something entirely different than what I was planning to give him. Blueprint to, drawn by someone who knows a building from the inside out. Blueprint to, less perfect lines, more honest ones. The measurements taken from an actual life rather than an imagined one. Blueprint to, room for the things that arrive without being on the planet. People, the detours, the discoveries made in the margins of the original that turned out to be the main text. Blueprint to, this one fits the person actually building it, yeah. Kept some things from the first draft, the ambition. Kept that in different form, the commitment to showing up. Kept at the belief that the building is worth finishing, even when the structure argues back, even when the material has opinions about the design. Kept all of that, left the rigidity, left the timeline, left the specific shape of an arrival that was always someone else's definition of what arriving should look like. My architect friend says the best buildings are the ones that surprise their architects, the ones where the design met the site and had a conversation that changed what was built. The building that exists is always slightly different from the one on paper, and usually better for the difference. I think about that constantly, the conversation between the plan and the place where the plan meets reality, and both of them are just blueprint to the conversation between who I plan to be and who the building insisted on becoming. Blueprint to both voices in the final design. The 23-year-old with the coffee and the certainty, and the man who found the drawer on a Tuesday with enough miles on him to know what to keep and what the site was trying to tell him. Blueprint to, better than the first, cause the first was theoretical and this one is true. Built from actual material, actual weather, actual arguments between the plan and the place. Blueprint to
the building I'm actually.
This one fits, finally fits, yeah. Blueprint to, yeah. This one's mine. Blueprint to, only only what fits overhead. Learn that the hard way. Used to check everything, yeah. Pay the fee for the way of things, yeah. I might need in a place I've never been, just in case. The just in case was the heaviest thing I own. Carry on luggage, only what's necessary, only what fits without checking, only what I can. Lift myself into the space above my head without asking anyone for help. Carry on luggage, the discipline of deciding what actually comes with me. Left the heavy stuff at home, eventually discovered that just in case never happened in any city. I've been afraid to arrive and underprepared. The airport taught me what the rest of life kept failing to teach me. Travel light, arrive ready. She packs one small bag for anywhere. Looks at my bag, doesn't say anything, just looks, which is enough. I leave half of it at home, she nods, we go. Carry on luggage, applied everywhere. Now, not just airport, just the necessary, just what I can carry myself, just what fits, without the fee for the weight of everything I thought I'd need but never did. Carry on luggage, travel light, arrive ready every time. Travel light, carry on luggage. Carry on luggage, carry on luggage. Yeah, only the necessary. Like play. Lights coming up. RnB. This is when the truth comes out. There's a specific humanity to closing time, the last hour of a bar that's been running since 4. When the tired and the lonely and the celebrating and the grieving all end up at the same wooden surface under the same coming up lights that flatter by nobody, which is maybe the point, which is maybe why the most honest things get said at closing time, when the flattering stops. Yeah, bartender on the corner, place I've been going to since the neighborhood was different, watches everyone from behind. The particular safety of the thing being served, which means she's seen everything. The proposals, the breakups, the reunion, the last of one drink, the solo regular with nurses, one beer for 3 hours, because the alternative is going home to a quiet that has become unreasonable. She's seen all of it from behind the wooden surfaces. Closing time is the kind of style because everyone finally drops it. Closing time, the armor comes off with the lights coming up. Closing time, nobody performing for the room anymore. The room is empty and only the honest for the careful version, the managed version, the one that keeps it together. Closing time, let it go, let the lights find you as you actually are. Closing time, that's when I like people most. Two people in the corner, last ones every night. This week, not together, not strangers. Something in between that only exists at closing time, when the bar is almost empty and the options are go home or stay for one more. Then neither of them actually needs to stay for the same reason everyone stays past closing, because something in the room isn't finished and they know it, and the bartender knows it and pours them one more without being asked. Because some things you pour for people not because they ordered it, but because the night requires it. I stayed once past closing alone, every day that needed somewhere to put itself. Bartender, let me stay after the last person left. Wipe the counter around my glass without asking me to move it, which is the kindest thing a person can do for another person in a bar at the end of a long day. She didn't ask what happened, just kept the glass full until I was ready to stand up and take the day outside where it belongs. Oh, closing time for the things I've been carrying past their hour. Closing time, closing time for the performances that serve the purpose and deserve an honest exit. Oh, closing time, the lights coming up on everything I've been managing and flattering. Darkness, time to see it clearly in the honest light of a bar at the end of this night. Oh, closing time, last call for the version of the story that protected me when I needed protection, and now just keeps me from the table where the honest people are still sitting under the lights that flatter nobody. Closing one more, then I'll go, then I'll take whatever the day was outside where it belongs. Closing time. Thank the bartender, always.
Thank the bartender, she saw everything, said nothing, kept the glass full until you were ready. Closing time, that's love. Actually, that's exactly what love looks like at the end of a long, honest night. Last call. Thank her.
Closing time,
Yeah.
time to go.
Always the corner, back to the wall. See everything, nobody behind you.
Every diner has one, the corner booth that belongs to whoever gets there first and understands what they're claiming, not just to see a position in the room. That lets you see the door without the door, seeing you first. Corner booth, where the real conversations happen away from the middle of things. Corner booth, back against the wall. Everything visible, nothing approaching from behind. Corner booth, my grandfather's rule. Always sit where you can see the room, even more than restaurants. We Sat there for 4 hours, coffee going cold. Twice, refilled twice by the same waitress who understood without being told, yeah, that the booth was occupied by something that needed the time it was taking. She said the thing she'd been building toward for 40 minutes in the corner booth where everything finally had enough walls around it to be said out loud. I listened the way corner booths teach you to listen, completely back against the wall, nowhere else to be. Corner booth, the room you made for the things that need a room. Corner booth, coffee cold, time irrelevant, back against the wall. Everything visible, nothing unheard. Corner booth, best seat in any building, and there's one, back against the wall. Back against the wall.
To see everything,
Corner booth.
yeah. The best seat. Wrong turn, best thing that ever happened.
GPS said left, I went right for no reason except the right. Look more interesting than the left, which is not a navigation strategy anyone recommends, but occasionally produces results the recommended route never would. Detour, the unscheduled mile that changes everything. Detour, not lost, just differently found and planned. Detour, the best stories always start with a wrong turn that turned out to be the right one for a reason you couldn't have known before you took it. Found a place on the detour, the one I kept going back to for 3 years. After that you can't find on purpose, that only exists for people who went right when the GPS said left. Told someone about it once, they said send me the address. I said you have to take the wrong turn to find it. They said which wrong turn? I said that's the thing you have to not know which one before you take it. Detour, I tend on purpose now. Leave room in the route for the ride that the GPS didn't plan. Detour, not all of them lead somewhere worth finding. Enough of them do to make every wrong turn worth the taking.
See what's there.
Detour,
Yeah. Worth it.
detour.
Seconds between floors. Nobody talks. In elevators. which means everyone thinks.
Oh, lobby to penthouse. 30 seconds of enforced proximity with strangers who have decided by mutual agreement to stare at the numbers changing above the door, as though the numbers are the most interesting thing that has ever happened to any of them. But something happens sometimes in elevators between the lobby and wherever you're going to work. It said I wouldn't survive the open air of a room. More lenses with more witnesses, more places for a conversation to escape before it becomes real. The elevator traps the honest thing in 30 seconds of shared vertical motion. Small spaces moving upward. Elevator, 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 where the pretense doesn't have enough room to stand beside us. Elevator, she told me something true. Between the 4th and 7th floor, something she'd been carrying since February that needed exactly 30 seconds of enclosed space. And a stranger she'd never see again to finally come out. Elevator, going up with everything we carry. She stepped out, didn't look back. I rode up to 14, stood in my room, thinking about what February had done to a person I know. And I know for 30 seconds it is a shame, a vertical motion. Drove through on the way to somewhere else. Hey, stayed 3 years. Didn't plan to love it, just arrived between 2 better options and found something nobody had recommended, because nobody recommends the place you find by accident on the way to somewhere more obvious. Garden state of mind, not on the map I was following. Garden state, the detour that became the destination. Nobody planned, but everyone who finds it stay longer than they said they would. Garden state, the best things never announced, just arrived. Met people who weren't trying to be anything, other than exactly what they were. Which is rare, which is the thing you don't find in the places you plan to find it. Left eventually, had to the somewhere else, was still waiting. Drove out the way I came in, looked in the mirror at the skyline, getting smaller. Thought I'll be back, haven't been, keep thinking I will. Garden State, still there without me. Garden State, doing fine, not waiting, not a thing that needs returning to remain what it was. Garden State, best places. Don't need you to come back to be real. They just are with or without you. And they're still there, still there. Garden State. Garden still there, doing fine, yeah. Garden State, yeah. Can't compare it. Everything. Exhausting way to live. My mother compared everything to the best version of that thing she'd ever encounter. Every restaurant to the one in Lyon in 1987. Every summer to that summer in the South when she was 20, and the light was different than it's ever been since. Every man to my father at 32, which is an unfair comparison for any man to carry into a kitchen on a Sunday. I inherited the comparison, the constant measuring of the current thing against the gold standard of its category, which sounds like high standard. And sometimes it is, and sometimes it's just the refusal to let anything be good enough on its own terms, without the measuring against something. It was never trying to be gold standard, moving target, nobody hits gold standard. The restaurant in Lyon in 1987 is not available for comparison. Neither is that summer, neither is your father at 32. Gold standard. Let the current thing be what it is, without the measuring, without the lion, without the 1987, without the father at 32, who was himself just a man in a kitchen, trying his best on a Sunday, which is all anyone ever is. Sat with a meal last Thursday, ordinary place, ordinary food made by someone who showed up and cooked without knowledge of lion, without the 1987, without any gold standard, except the honest one of did this feed someone tonight? Did this serve its purpose? Did this arrive warm at a table where someone needed something warm and I ate it without commit to anything for the first time in as long as I can remember. And it was completely itself, which turns out is enough. Mother softened with age, stop mentioning lion around 2 lazy 10, or maybe lion started fading into the general beautiful blur of a life fully lived until the 1987 became just one good year among many, and the restaurant just one good meal among the 100 she'd been too busy comparing to properly enjoy at the time. Age does that, takes the gold standard and reveals it as just one good thing among the many good things you were always surrounded by if you've been looking correctly. Gold standard, retired. Gold standard, the current thing gets to be the current thing without the weight of everything that preceded it being better. The meal gets to be the meal. The summer gets to be the summer. The person gets to be the person without the father at 32, standing invisibly in every kitchen on every Sunday. Gold standard. What if this right here is it? What if the gold was always in the current thing that you were busy measuring against somewhere else? Gold standard. Put the ruler down, eat the meal, feel the summer. Love the person in the kitchen on the Sunday that exists, not the one in 1987 that doesn't. Gold standard. This right here, this, put it down. Just this gold standard. Yeah. Updated it everywhere, that's for a permanent address, which is its own kind of commitment. The bank, the doctor, the forms that wanna know where to find you when something important needs delivering. Wrote it without hesitating for the first time in a long time. Home address, not a temporary forwarding situation, not the place I'm staying till something else presents itself. Home address, the actual answer to where I live, which is here, which is this, which is finally the place I chose, rather than arrived at by elimination. Oh, home is a decision eventually, yeah. Not just a place that has your stuff in it. The decision arrived quietly on a Tuesday when I stopped looking for somewhere else. She asked, do you like it here? I said, I live here. She said, that's not a ask. I said, yes, actually yes. She smiled like she'd been waiting for that answer. Specifically home address, on everything that has home address, the permanent answer to the
this specific, ordinary, chosen life. Home address, finally an answer without hesitation.
Every house has them. Nobody wrote them down. Everyone knows them anyway. In my house, growing up, shoes off at the door, no phone at the table. Everyone eats before anyone leaves. Nobody sleeps angry if it can't be helped. Rules nobody posted, everybody honored. House rules, the unwritten law of a specific four walls that decide what it stood for. Without a meeting, house rules, you carry them into every house. After the first one, whether you mean to or not, house rules from home to home, across every address you've ever called your home. My house now has its own, you'll stay on, actually phone sometimes. At the table, the coffee always made for whoever wakes up. Second, that one I kept, that one was worth the carrying. She noticed the coffee thing. Third morning said, you always do that. I said, house rules. She said, where from? I said, far back. She nodded like she understood the distance. A rule can travel and still arrive. Whoa. No one's worth keeping travel far. House rules, coffee for whoever wakes up. Second, nobody sleeps. Second, nobody sleeps angry if it can't be helped. House rules, from the first house to this one, across every address. Between them, the good ones arrive intact. Coffee's made. House rules, yeah, from far back.
Said 2 weeks, meant 2 weeks. Now it's week 7.
Hey, he arrived with one bag. It should have been to tell people pull back. Flight for long trips, have already decided something you haven't been informed of yet. Set the bag by the couch, said, just till I find something, which is a sentence with no built-in deadline to sentence. Design specific being revisited in 7 weeks. When the bag is multiplied into 3 bags, and the couch has a specific impression in the shape of a person who has found something in your living room and decided that's enough. He's standing at the refrigerator, which I do too, but it's different when it's your refrigerator. He watches things I haven't watched yet. without asking, which means the algorithm now thinks I have opinions about things I've never seen. He reorganized the bathroom cabinet, didn't mention it. I found out when my things were somewhere different than where I put them, which is a specific kind of intimacy. Nobody else gets the person who knows you well enough to stay, not well enough to see what staying actually costs. House gets the hospitality, slowly becoming the furniture of a life. They're living in your square footage without the lease, without the conversation about the lease, without anyone saying the thing that he was saying, because saying it means saying something about the friendship that neither of you wants to say. House guest, week 7, still counting. Had it finally Thursday, not dramatically over coffee, just said, how's the search going? Which is the polite version of the actual question. He looked at the coffee, said, getting there, which is the polite version of an actual answer. We sat with the politeness for a moment, then I said, I need a date. He nodded like he'd been waiting for the day to arrive. Said, 2 weeks, I said 2 weeks. We drank the coffee, both of us slightly relieved that the thing had been said without the friendship leaving the room while we said it. Ooh. He left on a Tuesday, 3 bags, but there was one left the couch with the impression of a person that took about a week to disappear. Left the bathroom cabinet in its configuration, which I kept for a month without meaning to. Just kept reaching for things in the places he put them, which is also a long house guest. Leave behind, not mess, not inconvenience, just the residue of a person who lived briefly in your routines and rearrange them slightly without asking. Kinda miss it once it's gone, kinda miss it standing at the refrigerator together in the dark, not talking, just eating, which is its own kind of company. Who's scared? Oh, house guest, now house guest, impressionless. Again, the algorithm confused the bathroom cabinet in a configuration that belonged to someone else for 7 weeks, and now just stays because changing it back feels like erasing something that was actually fine. House guest, the friendship survived the conversation, which is the only metric that matters for a house guest situation. The friendship that can't survive. I need a date in 2 weeks is stronger than the one that couldn't. House guest, come back sometime with 1 bag and a deadline already decided before you arrive. 2 weeks. Come back sometime. House guest, yeah, friendship survive. Everyone else already there. Turned out I was right on schedule. Mine graduated late, figured it out late, fell in love for real late. Watched everyone move through the expected stages at the expected pace, while I was still in the previous one, wondering if something was wrong with me or the timeline. Hey, bloomer, arriving exactly where the arriving was right. Late bloomer, not behind, just just on a different schedule that nobody handed out at the start. Late bloomer, the garden doesn't apologize for October flowers, neither do I. The things I build late, I build better, because I built them after the early mistakes other people made in their 20s. I made in my 30s with more information about what mistakes actually cost. My mother said late bloomers root deeper before they flower. Said the early ones sometimes burn out fast, the October ones stay longer into the cold. Was always mine, just didn't know what it looked like from inside. From inside it lately, bloomer October flowers staying longer years ahead. Staying long into the cold, anyone expected, including me. Oh, right on October same latitude, different longitude, same sky, yeah. Different everything in it, yeah. We grew up in the same city, same school, same cafeteria, same specific misery of a Tuesday in February. The teenagers' experience is permanent rather than seasonal. Left the same year, different directions. She went east, I went west. Same latitude on the map, different longitude, which is just a number until it becomes the reason you haven't spoken in 11 years. Longitude, the vertical lines, nobody notices on a map until they explain why two people were once in the same room every day and now 6 hours apart in the same waking moment. She's eating dinner, I'm eating lunch. We're nowhere close to the same page of the same day. The longitude between us turned Tuesday into a different country for both of us, without either of us moving. Longitude, the invisible distance that grew between the same people. That are falling out, not a decision, not a conversation that ended badly, just a slow accumulation of different time zones, different routines, different versions of Tuesday, until the people who shared every Tuesday for 12 years started sharing none of them. Longitude, the most honest explanation for how people drift without anyone being wrong about anything. She messaged out of nowhere last spring, said I dreamed about the cafeteria. I said the Tuesday thing, she said the Tuesday thing. We laughed across 6 hours of longitude at the specific shared memory of a misery we'd both kept without knowing the other one had kept it too. That's what longitude can't separate the things you kept before the lines drew themselves between you. Those travel across any meridian without losing a single detail. We talk now Thursday specifically, 'cause Thursday lands at dinner for her and lunch for me. And we decided the longitude was always gonna require negotiation. Better to name the negotiation than pretend the lines don't exist between us. She tells me about her evening, I tell about my afternoon. We meet in the middle of the same day, 6 hours apart, which is not the cafeteria, not the Tuesday, but is its own kind, its own different wall. Same people finding the line between their longitudes, where the conversation still works, still fits, still sounds like the cafeteria in the specific misery of a Tuesday in February that turned out not to be permanent after all. Longitude, not the end of anything. Longitude, just a name for the distance that requires Thursday and a negotiation about dinner and lunch. And who calls this week longitude? 6 hours is not 6 years, unless you let it be. Unless the lines become walls rather than the coordinates of where two people currently are on their way to the same Thursday. Longitude, find the line where your day and hers overlap. Stand on it together, 6 hours apart, laughing about the cafeteria, about the Tuesday, about the specific misery that turned out to be the thing you both kept without knowing it was the thing that would bring you back across any longitude. Back to the same room, different walls, same people. Longitude, I'll call Thursday, same as always. Longitude, save me a seat. Thursday, Thursday, 6 hours. Longitude, yeah, same room, different walls.
Early showing. Nobody comes to the matinee. That's exactly what I do.
Tuesday matinee, cinema on the corner, 3 other people in the whole theater, which is the correct number of people for a Tuesday. In a dark room with something worth watching, enough to see, not enough to perform your reaction for anyone. The matinee returns you to the private experience of a public art form. I go alone, always alone, which people find strange, which tells me something about how people use cinema as a social activity rather than what it actually is, which is a room made dark on purpose so a person can feel something without anyone watching them feel it. The matinee understands this better than the Friday night sellout that requires you to laugh at the right moments for the room. Matinee, the Tuesday version of everything that performs for crowds on the weekend. Matinee, where you can cry at the wrong part without explanation, where you can leave before the credits without social consequence, where you can sit in the dark with your popcorn and your Tuesday and just watch something without the audience of people who know your name. Matinee, matinee, the most honest cinema there is, just you and the screen and the 3 strangers who also chose Tuesday.
It was a quiet film. Nothing exploding, nothing resolving, tiddly, just
people in rooms
saying things adjacent to what they meant while the camera watched them with the specific patience of something that is all day. And no agenda, I left 40 minutes in. Not because it was bad, because it was too accurate about something I wasn't ready to sit in the dark with yet. The matinee lets you leave without explaining to anyone why.
Went back the following Tuesday, sat through the whole thing. The 40 minutes I'd already seen, moving faster now that I knew what was coming. The next hour moving slower because I was finally ready to be in the room with what the film was trying to say about the thing I've been carrying since the Tuesday I left early. The matinee was patient and waited a week for me to be ready for it. I'll be back next Tuesday. Whatever showing doesn't matter as much as it's showing up to the dark room on the quiet day with the honest number of strangers who also chose Tuesday over the weekend, who also needed the dark without the audience of people who know the names. Matinee, the three of us in that room understood something about each other without speaking, without names, just a shared private choice of a Tuesday in a darkened room is something worth watching alone together. Same time next week, same seat, same quiet, same three strangers choosing correctly. Same time next week. Matinee.
Yeah. Just us. Just us. Just us. Yeah. Nobody watching home by. Pool to yourself, 3 a.m. This is freedom. Slipped out through the side door. Hotel pool closed since 10. Sign says so. Did the math between the sign and the specific weight of what I've been carrying since the morning. The sign lost easily. Water cold at first, then the body decides to accept it the way the body decides to accept most things. Eventually, on its own timeline, regardless of the mind's opinion. From the water, looks different than the city from the shore. From inside it, everything's soft and the hard edges dissolved by the specific refraction of looking at lit buildings through moving water with your ears. Below the surface with the particular silence of someone who has finally found a room without walls, without agenda, without anyone requiring anything. Midnight swim. Nobody asked permission, nobody needed to. Midnight swim. The closed pool, the broken rule, the cold water that became acceptable by the third stroke. Midnight swim, where the day finally releases you, not gradually, not politely, all at once. The moment your body goes horizontal and the water takes the weight of everything. The vertical world required you to carry. Midnight swim, the most honest hour in any hotel. Floated for a while, face up, city lights overhead, everything inverted. Sky below, pool above, or the other way, couldn't tell, didn't matter. Just the floating, just the hell, just the specific luxury of a body being supported by something that doesn't need anything from the body in return. Just holds it the way water holds everything that knows how to let it. Security guard found me eventually, middle-aged man, flashlight, the specific tiredness of someone working a shift that adds nothing interesting. Now he shone a light, I waved from the water. He stood there for a moment, then lowered the flashlight. Looked at the city behind me, looked back at me. He said, pool closes at 10. I said, I know. He said, you got 20 minutes. Turn around, walk back into the building, and I thought the man just gave me the best thing anyone gave me. Oh yeah, 20 minutes of nobody needing anything from me. Midnight swim, the guard who looked away. Midnight swim, 20 minutes of pure horizontal permission. Midnight swim, the cool water that became the right temperature by the third stroke. The city soft through water, the body finally held without conditions. Yeah, midnight swim. I dried off, went back upstairs to the room with the agenda, with the morning already written in a calendar, with everything the vertical world required. Went back lighter than I left the water. Took something I've been carrying since morning, kept it, gave me the 20 minutes instead. Best trade I ever made in a closed pool at 3 a.m. Yeah. Midnight swim, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes swim. Worth it. Midnight swim. Lighter now. The mind forgets, the body never does. Still reach for a side of the bed. 6 months later, hand moving before the brain remembers there's nothing there to reach for. Muscle memory doesn't read, the calendar doesn't update with the facts. Muscle memory, body's stubbornness about what it loves. Muscle memory still making 2 cups, still moving to the right on the sidewalk, still reaching across the cold side of a bed that doesn't know change. Played piano after 10 years away from it. Hands knew every song the mind had forgotten completely, which means some things live below the forgetting, in a place the years can't reach. She asked, do you miss it? I said, my hands do. She understood, which means she'd had her own version of the reaching across the cold side of something that changed. Oh, evidence the body loves more durably than the mind. Muscle memory still playing the song, still reaching, still making 2 cups before remembering that one is enough now, just one. Muscle memory, the body takes its time
catching up to the facts, still reaching. The body knows, the body knows. Our school memory, yeah, takes its time. Written over, but still there. Underneath, if you look closely enough, yeah. Medieval monks who scraped the vellum clean, yeah, yeah. Write new text over old text to save the material, but the old text never fully disappeared, yeah. Just waited underneath, patient for someone with the right light to find it. Palace tip, every person is one, every version written over the last, but the last still there. If you look correctly in the right light, at the right angle, palaces, I can still see the 7-year-old under everything, the teenager under the adult, every version preserved. The current one, under the current one. She said, you still do that thing you did when you were 20. That specific thing with your hands when you're thinking I didn't know. I still did it, which means some things survive every rewrite without permission, without awareness. Just persist in a body like old text undo. Sometimes the old version surfaces without warning at a party or a difficult moment, or a song that existed before you became who you currently are. And suddenly you're the earlier draft in the current room for 30 seconds, then gone, and the current version returns, but you felt it, the underneath. Don't erase too thoroughly. Some of the old text is worth the right life, finding it palaces. All the versions still in there, still legible if you know where to look. The 7-year-old, the 20-year-old, all of them underneath, all of them still yours, still there underneath. Underneath. Melodies, still yours, underneath. Huh? Still yours. Everything leaves a record, whether you meant it to or not. Found my application see. Hide it in a tent, in a box my mother kept without telling me. The handwriting of someone 17 trying to describe their potential to strangers in admissions offices who had a quota and a rubric and about 4 minutes per life to decide whether it qualified. The essay was about my grandfather. Obviously, everybody's essay is about their grandfather or their struggle or the summer something changed them into someone worth admitting, into a building where the education costs more than the house my grandfather built with his hands over 3 summers, without a rubric, without a quota, without 4 minutes per life. Paper trail, everything I was before I became whoever this is. Paper trail, the application to the life I didn't live, the acceptance to the one I did, the rejection letter from the thing that wasn't meant for me. Dressed up at the time as failure, revealed later as redirection. Paper trail, follow it backward and find the version of yourself that made every decision that led to this specific standing here with this specific life. Paper trail, it all made sense eventually, it always does eventually. Read the essay about my grandfather, standing in my mother's kitchen with the box between us on the counter. She watched me read it, didn't say anything until the end, then said, "You were always gonna be fine," I said. "How did you know?" She said, "Anyone who writes about someone else the way you wrote about him is gonna be fine, because they understand that other people are the point, not the building, not the acceptance, not the quota. The people are always the point." I put the essay back in the box, closed it, left it on the counter where it belongs. I leave traces now on purpose, the note in the book before I give it, the handwritten thing instead of the type, the voicemail instead of the text, the showing up instead of the message that says I'm thinking of you, without the cost of the actual thinking. Showing up, paper trail, I wanna leave a good one, not for history, not for anyone who goes looking after I'm gone, just for the people still here who deserve the evidence of being thought of concretely in the specific, irreplaceable language of someone who showed up with something that took actual time. Paper trail of a life spent noticing people eat. Paper trail, the essay, the voicemail, the note in the margin, the box my mother kept without telling me. Paper trail, all of it adding up to the record of a person who paid attention, who left traces, who understood that the grandfather was the point, not the building, not the showing up was the point, not the acceptance, that the people were always the point. Paper trail, follow it forward from the kitchen with the box on the counter and a mother who always knew. In the essay about the man who built the house with his hands. Paper trail, la la, every leaves, I'm walking there every day. Paper trail, worth following, following. It leads somewhere. Paper trail, yeah, yeah, worth following. Everything looks different from a distance.
smaller or more important, never the same. Things I was certain wouldn't me in the rear view now look like the exact size they actually were, which was manageable, which was survivable, which was smaller than the version I lived through from the inside. Rear view distance does it, makes the enormous correctly sized, makes the unservable survive. Rear view, everything I drove away from, still they're getting smaller. The way things that try to stop you get smaller when you keep moving. Don't look back, they say, but sometimes you need the rear view to understand what the road you're on actually cost, and what it was worth, and whether the driving made sense. Looking back from here, she was in the rear view for a long time, getting smaller than a fixed point, then gone around a bend that the road put between us. Naturally, without discussion, just the road doing what the roads do, moving you past what you couldn't move past yourself, really. I check it less now, more windshield than rear view, which is the correct ratio for a person moving forward, but still occasionally needing a smaller version of the thing that once felt unsurvivable, just to remember they survived it. Rear view still works it wisely. Keep driving. First version of anything is always terrible. That's the whole point of it. I showed someone my rough draft once before it was ready, before I'd done the work of making it something I could defend in polite company. Just handed it over, raw, unedited, still visible. The places where I didn't know what I was doing, still visible. Seems the hesitation, the moment on page 4, where I gave up and came back the next morning. And you can see exactly where the break was if you know how to look. She read it without expression, which is the most terrifying thing a reader can do with your rough draft in front of you. Just reading, giving nothing back while you sit there, inventing her reactions in real time, based on nothing, based on the silence, based on the particular way she turned page 7, which seems significant and
probably really was in rough draft. Bravest thing I ever handed anyone. Rough draft. All the seams showing all the places I didn't know what I was doing. Completely visible to anyone who cared to look. Rough draft, which is also just another name for trust, for saying, here is the thing before it's defensible. Here is the version that needs you to be gentle with it. Rough draft. Not everyone deserves one. The ones who do change everything. She put it down, page 23. Looked at me, said the break on page 4, where you gave up and came back.
That's the best part. The whole manuscript, everything after page 4 is better than everything before it, because you came back, she said. Most people don't come back to the rough draft after page 4. Most people call it finished or call it failed. And you came back the next morning and it shows, she said. That's the whole thing right there. The coming back is the whole thing.
I revise differently now. Less afraid of the page 4. Moment the draft breaks, and you have to decide whether to close it or come back tomorrow with fresh eyes. And the particular stubbornness of someone who has been told once by someone worth believing that the coming back is the whole thing. I come back every time now. Close the laptop on the break, sleep on it, return to the exact place to start. Being easy and start again from the difficult, because the difficult is where the best part lies. On page 4, in every page after it that only exists because someone came back. Rough draft, come back to it. Rough draft. On page 4 is not the ending, it's the test. The break is just the place where you find out if this is something you believe in enough to return to in the morning with the coffee and the stubborn quiet of someone who has more to say than one sitting can contain. Rough draft. Show it to the right person before it's ready. Trust them with the seams, the hesitation, the visible page. On page 4, rough draft. The coming back is the whole thing. She was right, she's always right, he's always right about the thing. Does the thing that matter every time? The coming back is everything. Page 4, come back.
Come back.
Just decided to love anyway. Lost a job in October, which meant I was home with my father. Needed someone home, which the job would never have allowed. On a Tuesday in October, the silver lining didn't announce itself, just appeared 3 weeks later in a hospital waiting room where I was, because I was available. Silver lining, not the toxic kind that dismisses a cloud. The silver lining, found after alongside the hard thing, not instead of it, alongside it. The hard thing was hard, that part stays accurate. The silver lining doesn't revise it, it just said something else that was also happening in the same October. At the same Tuesday, in the same waiting room, my father said from the hospital bed, good thing you were free. I didn't say lost the job, just said good thing. He nodded, closed his eyes, slept, while I sat there finding the silver in the specific October that took something and gave back something it couldn't have known. I needed more silver lining. Nobody asks for a spare key. You just find yourself, Give him one. Did make an occasion of it, just slid it across the counter one morning, between the coffee and the leaving, like it was an ordinary thing, which it was and wasn't simultaneously. A spare key, thing you give before you decide to give, before the logic catches up to what the gesture already knew. Spare key, trust in metal form, small enough to lose, significant enough to change everything about who has access to your ordinary life. She used it once when I was running late, found her in the kitchen when I got home. Coffee made, music on, dog fed like she'd been there the whole time, like she belonged there. Wish she did, wish the key already knew before I did. Lost it once, spare key, she replaced it without mentioning it. Just put a new one on my counter one morning, between coffee and leaving. Said nothing about it, which is also what love sometimes looks like. Spare key, small metal thing, enormous meaning. Spare key, the decision that wasn't a decision, just a hand sliding something across the counter before the mind organized a meeting about it. Spare key, best impulse I ever follow without thinking. Still fit, still fit. Spare key, yeah. Spare key. Spare key.
Nobody reads the paper anymore, which means the ones who do really mean it.
He drove 20 minutes every Sunday for the physical paper. The one you hold with both hands that get stained on your fingers. That takes an actual hour to read properly. Said the phone gave him headlines, the paper gave him morning Sunday paper. The ritual of unhurried information. Sunday paper, ink on fingers, coffee going cold, nothing else. Scheduled day paper will stay until the paper is finished. Sunday paper, the world can wait 1 hour for someone to understand it properly. I started buying it after he was gone. Same shop, same Sunday, different hands on the same ritual. Ink on my fingers now. Coffee going cold, same message. The world waiting 1 hour while I read it the way he did properly. She saw the paper under my arm, said, "You're just like him." I didn't correct her, just smiled to Sunday. She said, "Every Sunday without fail." Without fail. Said, "Without fail." Sunday paper, inheritance and newsprint. Sunday framer, Sunday paper, ink on fingers, his then mine. Sunday paper, the ritual travels further than the person who started it. Sunday paper, every Sunday without fail. Without fail. Is that mine? Some Sunday paper. Yeah. Without white tablecloth every Sunday without fail. That was a rule. My grandmother set the table like it mattered, because it did. Yeah. Like the people coming to sit at it deserve the ceremony of a service prepared specifically for them. I run flat every Saturday night for a Sunday meal that lasted 3 hours minimum. Nobody left early, the tablecloth wouldn't allow it. Yeah. We don't do that anymore. The long table, the the meal that has no agenda except the eating and the talking and the staying long past the food, because the food was never actually the point. The point was the cloth and what the cloth meant, which was you matter enough for the good surface. Tablecloth, ceremony of being expected head. Tablecloth, someone set the table before you arrived, which means someone thought about you before you got there, which is its own kind of love. Tablecloth, iron flat every Saturday for a Sunday, full of people who needed to be told without words that their arrival was anticipated, was prepared for, was worth the good surface. Tablecloth, we underestimated you the whole time. The last Sunday, she said it, nobody knew was the last Sunday, which is how last times usually work. We ate, we talked, we stayed past the food like always. The cloth iron flat like always. 4 months later, the cloth still in the drawer. Nobody has touched it since. Some things you keep it near and out of respect. I set a table last month, first time in my adult life, just for dinner, just for Tuesday, just for 2 people who deserve the ceremony of a surface prepared specifically for them. I did badly, creases everywhere. She looked at it, said you ironed. I said attempted to. She sat down like it was the most natural thing in the world, like tablecloths on Tuesdays was simply what we did now. And I thought my grandmother would have approved of the creases, would have said the trying is the point, not the flat. Tablecloth back on the table where it belongs. On tablecloth, creasing perfectly by someone still learning what the ironing actually means. Tablecloth, yeah. You matter enough for the good surface on a Tuesday for no reason except that reason is enough. Come sit down, stay past the food. The cloth is ready, the surface is prepared. You were expected, you were thought about before you arrived. Tablecloth, that's all love ever really needed to say. Sit down, stay a while. Tablecloth, yeah, you were expected. Say something, anything, just say it. I have 17 saved voicemails on a phone. 2 phones ago, transfer every upgrade without listening, just moving them forward into the next technology, like a person who can't throw out letters they haven't read in years but need to know are somewhere accessible in case the day arrives when they're ready for what's inside them. 3 of them. Oh, my grandfather calling them about nothing, calling about dinner, calling to tell me something about a game he watched that afternoon, calling just to hear the phone ring. You know, someone on the other end existed in my callback. Voicemails from a man who didn't know he was leaving, a record of a voice that would outlast everything else he left behind. Voicemail, a time capsule, nobody playing voicemail. A voice still talking in the pocket of a phone. 2 phones ago, still leaving messages about nothing, about the specific ordinary frequency of a person who called just to call. Voicemail. I press play sometimes when I need to hear that the world still contains a voice that said my name like that, like it was simply the best word it knew. Press play. Last November, first time in 3 years, stood in the kitchen while he told me about the game, and I met it, certain, full of the particular enthusiasm of a man who found joy in small things consistently. For 84 years I let it play through to the end. He said, call me back when you get a chance. I said out loud in the empty kitchen, okay, I will, which I can, which I know, but the voicemail doesn't know. And for that moment, neither of us did. I left a voicemail for my friend last week instead of the text I'd been about to send. Called and waited for the beep. Said something real, something that needed a voice behind it. Not a font, not a red receipt, not a thumbs up from across the silence of the screen. A voice said his name like it was simply the best word I knew that day. Heard him play it back while we were together later. He listened twice, put the phone down, said nobody does that anymore. I said somebody should, he agreed, we agreed. In the kitchen while the voicemail played in the room with both of us in it. Voicemail, leave one for someone who needs to hear their name said by someone who means it. Voicemail, the text will not do for what you actually want to say. The font has no warmth, the screen has no breath behind it. Voicemail, 17 saved on a phone 2 phones ago. Transfer it forward into every new technology, because some voices you carry past the device that held them, past the upgrade, past the years, past everything, into the kitchen where you press play and stand still while someone calls back across the only distance that actually matters. Voicemail, leave one today. Say the name like it's the best word you know, because it is, because it all